I haven't had a paycheck in 4.5 months. My bank account? Fine. My nervous system? Still learning to believe it. I'm not gonna lie. I had a mini spiral a few days ago, but here's the thing. If I wasn't in as good of a financial situation as I am now, it would have been so much worse. My nervous system would have been way more chaotic than it is right now. And to be fair, there's a lot happening in my life right now. You probably know the feeling. But even with the money saved, even with the system in place, even knowing my numbers like the back of my hand, that fear doesn't just go away. And I think we need to talk about that. Because I thought once I had my money good, the anxiety would disappear. It didn't. If you were the kid who never asked for anything because you don't want to be a burden, if you grew up watching your parents stressed about money, if you finally have a little bit of money saved but you're still scared to spend it, this video is for you. Because here's what I'm learning. Building wealth is 2 parts. Part 1 is the money system, the accounts, the automation, the numbers. Part 2 is the nervous system, and that part takes way longer. Let me tell you how deep my scarcity mindset ran. When I was 15 years old, I bought a pair of sweatpants for $10. $10. And it took me months to actually wear them. I thought about returning them for months because I thought it was too expensive. $10 sweatpants felt like a financial decision I was never going to recover from. Like, that's how traumatized I was. And it didn't come from nowhere, right? We were low income, there was never enough, and the only time money was brought up was to say there was none. So I carried that into adulthood. And if you're sitting here thinking, that sounds like me, and this feels hard to fix, it's because it is. But you're going to figure it out anyways. Because here's the truth. Old money rules keep women stuck in survival mode. They taught us how to survive. They never taught us how to build. First-gen daughters were raised to be a safety net, to catch everybody, but never to build one for ourselves. We were never meant to build wealth. We're going to do it anyways. But I didn't know that at 15. I just knew that $10 sweatpants felt like a financial decision I was never going to financially recover from. And even when I started making money, even when I started saving, the fear was still there. When I was 25, 26 years old, I checked my accounts out of curiosity. I wanted to know how much I had saved up. I looked at my retirement accounts, added everything up, and I had $60,000 invested and saved. I had no idea it was that high. I was shocked. Like, what? Like, I'd never seen that kind of money before, and it was mine, in my accounts. That was the first time I ever celebrated a money win. But here's the thing, even after that moment, I was still scared. I still had the scarcity mindset creeping up on me. Like, if something happens, what if I lose it all? Okay, I have $60,000 now. The money was there. The fear was there too. Growing up with money trauma, it doesn't just vanish when your savings account hit a certain number. And here's what really messed me the fuck up. When I worked in wealth management, I would sit across from clients. They were nervous about money, like genuinely anxious, even though they had millions. And I would walk them through their numbers. I'd show them their plan. I'd literally say, like, my girl, you can spend an extra $50,000 a year and your retirement plan still works. But when I turned that same logic around to myself, the scarcity mindset would creep right back in. I could see their numbers clearly. I could reassure them. But my own numbers, different story. Reason and emotion don't always line up. And this isn't just me, okay? This is actually really common among retirees. Research from Morningstar shows retirees with at least medium assets tend to underspend relative to how much they could spend. Many of them actually see their wealth increase in retirement instead of decreasing. And get this, only 18% of retirees actually plan to spend down their savings in retirement. Most want to maintain or grow their assets. Like pass down inheritance to their kids, right? What's that like? Just kidding. Isn't this what we want for our kids as well? But retirees spend decades saving, decades in accumulation mode. And then they retire and they never learned how to spend. The muscle they built was save, save, save. They never practiced the other side. Listen, if multi-millionaires are still scared to spend, you can forgive yourself for being a little scared too. But don't stay there. There's a difference between understanding the fear and letting it run your life. Because here's the thing, first-gen daughters were raised to be the safety net, never to build one for themselves. We were taught to survive our parents' mistakes, never to build past them. So even when we get the money, the body doesn't believe it's safe. That's what I realized I was doing. I had the money. I had the proof. But I hadn't practiced spending without guilt. I hadn't practiced believing I was safe. So I had to learn, one day at a time. So step one was building the system. I call it the invisible money method. Money I never see gets automated out the day I get paid, and whatever's left I get to spend guilt-free. Simple. No tracking lattes, no doing mental math about how a $20 shirt is gonna affect my retirement in 40 years. The system gave me proof, actual proof. I could look at my accounts and see, okay, I'm not making this shit up. The money is real. I'm safe. But that wasn't the real work. The real work, the deeper work, was reprogramming my nervous system. Because you can't logic your way out of scarcity. You can have all the money in the world and still feel broke inside. So I had to practice calm. I had to practice positive self-talk. I had to literally remind myself out loud, you're good. And I'm still working on it. Over 10 years later, I'm still trying to shake off the scarcity. And I've made real progress, for sure. And here's how I know I've changed. Right now, I'm laid off, no paycheck for 4.5 months. We're in a terrible job market, and I'm spending thousands of dollars a year on part-time employees, on networking groups, on networking events, on conferences, on courses, even when I'm not getting a paycheck. And I'm like, yeah, that's definitely worth it, absolutely. But 25-year-old Wahidah would have never, like not in a million years, she would have been too paralyzed with indecision to press buy. Current me, I'm okay. Like actually okay. That wealth, not the number in my account, though yeah, it helps, but the ability to be okay when things go sideways. The ability to invest in myself even when I'm scared. The ability to rest. And if you're watching this thinking, yeah, that's nice, but I'm not there yet, you're closer than you think. You're smart enough to start. I know because you're still here watching. That's not an accident. If I could go back and talk to 25-year-old me, here's what I'd say. Here's what I wish someone told me at 25. The money system is step 1. Build it, automate it, give yourself proof, but don't expect the system to fix the fear. The nervous system work is step 2, and it takes time, and that's okay. You're not broken because you're still scared sometimes. You're healing. You figured this shit out on your own. That's not a small thing. And you didn't fail at money. You followed the rules that were designed to fail you. Nobody taught us this in school. They didn't teach it to our parents either. And while we were figuring it out alone, we were prime targets. High interest credit cards, predatory loans, payday lenders, overdraft fees, credit scores we didn't understand, an entire industry built on our confusion. So if you're 30 and you're untangling financial decisions you made at 20, that's not a personal failure. That's a system working exactly the way it was designed. You weren't taught this. You figured out survival because you had to. Now you gotta figure out something else. And I'm telling you, from the other side, it's worth it. So yeah, I have money now. Like, I still need to work, right? But we've got a cushion. The anxiety didn't completely go away, but it's better. So much better. And if you're in that place where you finally have a little bit saved, but you're still scared to touch it, you're not alone. Building wealth isn't just about the money. It's about building a life where you feel safe enough to actually live, where you can spend on what matters, where you can rest without guilt, where you can invest in yourself even when things are uncertain. That's the wealth I want for you. Not the flashy car, not a second beach house, but choices, support, safety. The kind of wealth that makes you dangerous. Dangerous enough to fund what matters. Dangerous enough to walk away from disrespect. Dangerous enough to rest. So here's what I want for you. Not Monday, not next month, this weekend. Open one account, just one, a high yield savings account, that's it. You don't need to know everything, you need to start. I've got a free wealth guide at wealthwahidah.versatile.app. The link is also in the description. It's a step-by-step setup for the invisible money method, so you can go get started on it this weekend. And also watch this video next. It's the one about the paycheck automation. That's the one that's gonna make it all click, okay? And that's how we close the wealth gap. We were never meant to build wealth, but we're doing it anyways. Get rich, stay ungovernable. I will see you next Sunday, friends. Goodbye.